Be prepared. You need to see this before July 8th, because something huge has already started, and most people have no idea. The 789 portal officially opens tomorrow, but if you're sensitive, then you already know something has started. Your reality is being rearranged in the background, and these spiritual triggers aren't waiting for your permission. They're already in motion. Once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it, and that's when the breakthrough begins. And if lately you suddenly smell something that isn't there, keep watching, because there's one specific reason that scent is showing up. And if you miss what it means, you'll ignore a crucial message. I'll break it down later, so stick around. And if you're feeling this shift already, feel free to drop 789 in the comments, along with whatever's been showing up for you lately. Sometimes just sharing it helps you align with it, and you never know who else needed to see it too. But that's not even the wildest part, because the very first trigger this portal hits, it doesn't add anything, it takes something away. The game of pretending ends here, and the portal doesn't care if you're ready. You won't need to meditate 5 hours a day. You won't need the crystals or the journals or the rituals. You'll just wake up and feel clear. Not perfect, not zen, but real. The portal isn't upgrading your tools. It's deleting the mask. You'll stop overthinking whether you're doing it right. You'll stop wondering if your vibration is high enough, because suddenly you'll be too busy actually living. And that's the twist. The portal isn't giving you something new. It's stripping everything false. No more spiritual posturing, no more chasing, just presence. Raw, electric, real presence. And that's when something unusual starts to happen. Your inner voice gets louder. It'll start calling you out. Because the next shift, it's about confrontation. And that confrontation, it's coming sooner than you think. And when it hits, it won't speak. It won't explain. It'll show up as a shift in your entire field, sudden, undeniable, and impossible to argue with. The portal isn't giving you more answers, it's removing your doubt. Something shifts when you stop chasing signs and start moving with certainty. You'll notice it when you realize you haven't looked for angel numbers all day or checked your birth chart. And not because you stop believing, but because you finally feel aligned without needing proof. That's not apathy, that's evolution. The 789 portal is burning off noise. Doubt, second-guessing, the endless spinning of, is this my intuition or my ego? It stops being a question. The deeper this energy pulls you, the more obvious it becomes. You already knew what you were waiting for a sign to tell you. You always did. Clarity isn't loud, it doesn't convince, it simply stays. The moment it hits, it'll feel eerily quiet, like a click inside your chest. No lightning bolts, no fireworks, just a still, final yes that feels unshakable, even if it doesn't make sense to anyone else. And that's when you'll look back and realize you haven't felt that kind of certainty in years, maybe ever. This portal doesn't shout to get your attention. It removes everything that was standing in the way, because once the noise dies down, you remember what your voice sounds like. And that's when it happens. Not just the confidence, but the consequences of it. You'll start making decisions that don't need validation. You'll walk away, step up, or finally start something, and people will feel it. But here's the wild part. That quiet certainty, it's not the ending, it's the beginning. Because what happens next is much bigger than clarity. This isn't just a portal for personal shifts, it's a planetary deployment. By the time this portal window closes, something will have changed in your energetic blueprint. Whether you're conscious of it or not, a new layer of responsibility is being locked into your path. Not in the more to carry way, but in the it's time to take your place kind of way. You're not just awakening, you're being deployed. And no, you won't get to vote on the timing. You won't get a formal invitation, it will just start happening. People will suddenly come to you for guidance. Synchronicities will funnel you toward new directions. Your tolerance for anything fake, stagnant, or shallow will collapse. And what makes this different from any other so-called activation? You won't be waiting for instructions, you'll just know what to do. Because your next role isn't coming from a book, a guru, or a vision board. It's coming from inside the contract you wrote before you were born. This spiritual job won't look like a job at all. It'll feel like a pull to speak, create, protect, disrupt, rebuild, or lead, even if you don't feel qualified, especially if you don't. This portal doesn't ask if you're ready. It reveals that you are. And when you resist it, things will feel heavier. Not because you're failing, but because your energy is trying to reroute, and you're holding the brakes. Some of you will feel a sudden pressure in your chest. Some might even feel disconnected from your old routines, like nothing makes sense anymore. That's the signal. That's the shift. The old assignments are done. The new ones are already en route. And once you get your first glimpse of what's coming, you'll understand why you had to go through everything. You're not losing interest, you're outgrowing the illusion. Something in the air is shifting, and it's not just the energy of the 789 portal, it's you. And it's not subtle anymore. You're waking up one morning and realizing you can't fake laugh through another conversation. You're standing in a room full of people you've known for years, and suddenly feeling like an alien. You go to do that same routine, scroll that same app, answer that same message, sit in that same chair, and for some reason, it physically drains you. You can't force it anymore. You're not being dramatic, you're being upgraded. This portal is pulling you through a kind of spiritual detox, one that doesn't ask for your permission. It just happens, and it begins with intolerance. You're not becoming negative, you're becoming incompatible with what's beneath your frequency. It's not just about cutting off toxic people, it's about recognizing that your nervous system no longer accepts what your spirit has outgrown. That's why conversations feel louder, distractions feel sharper, and clutter feels suffocating. Your body is trying to simplify your surroundings so your soul can catch up. Don't be surprised if you find yourself canceling plans you would have once bent over backwards to keep. Or if you feel this magnetic pull to get outside, be alone, walk barefoot, or sit in silence for hours. That's not you being antisocial. That's you reconnecting with a part of yourself that finally has the space to speak. And it speaks in silence. It speaks in space. This isn't about cutting people off in some dramatic purge. It's about releasing what no longer fits without guilt or explanation. It's about knowing that discomfort doesn't always mean something's wrong. Sometimes it means something is ending. And when you stop trying to keep the old in place, the new rushes in faster than you thought possible. But here's the wild twist. The purge isn't just about what you're walking away from. It's also preparing you for something that most people miss entirely. The nose is the forgotten oracle, and the portal just turned it back on. If you've suddenly been catching phantom scents, smoke, flowers, perfume, rain, earth, a grandparent's cologne, you're not imagining it. There's a very specific reason this is happening right now, and it's not just a coincidence. The 789 portal is opening something deep in the subconscious layers of the soul. And while everyone's focused on visions or messages or angel numbers, your soul may be sending signals through the one channel we've learned to ignore: your sense of smell. Smell bypasses logic. It doesn't ask for permission. It just delivers. There's a reason scent is tied so strongly to memory. It's the most direct path to the limbic system, the seat of memory, emotion, and instinct. And during this portal window, that pathway is becoming spiritually active. Some of you are picking up on olfactory echoes, imprints from past lives, parallel timelines, or even fragments of who you used to be before you got buried beneath conditioning. That sudden smell of burning incense. It might not be from this lifetime. It might be your soul remembering an ancient ritual, a contract, a moment of origin. Or it could be a guide stepping closer, leaving behind a trace of their energetic signature, one only you could recognize. It's not random, it's a code, and if you ignore it, you might miss one of the most personal messages your spirit has sent in years. So when it happens, pause. Don't try to explain it away. Feel into it. What were you just thinking about? Who came to mind? What emotion surfaced? This portal isn't just revealing what's ahead, it's reawakening the soul's forgotten languages. Most people won't notice it. Some will brush it off, but if you're tuned in, you'll know. Because the message wasn't just meant to get your attention, it was meant to reactivate something dormant inside you. And once that door opens, another one follows. You're not transforming, you're remembering. There's this quiet moment that hits you, maybe mid-sentence, maybe while getting dressed, maybe in the middle of deciding something that would have once felt huge. And it just clicks. You don't flinch. You don't hesitate. You just move. Decisively, cleanly, authentically. And the strangest part? It doesn't feel revolutionary. It feels obvious. Like, oh, there I am. This portal isn't dragging you into someone new. It's syncing you with who you always were underneath the layers of survival mode, people-pleasing, and spiritual over-efforting. You're not shifting, you're settling in. Alignment doesn't feel like fireworks, it feels like exhaling. You'll notice it in the smallest things first. Your tone changes. You say less, but it lands deeper. You don't need to justify your boundaries, you just hold them. You're no longer testing different versions of yourself to see which one people respond to. That exhausting loop is gone. You're not fishing for feedback anymore, you're living from inner clarity, and it radiates whether people notice or not. Even your style starts evolving, not to look different, but because you finally feel free to be different. You stop dressing to fit in. You start dressing to match the frequency of your own presence. Your space reflects it. Your energy commands it. People feel the shift without you having to say a word. You're not chasing your identity, you're finally wearing it. And here's the part no one tells you. This phase feels weirdly calm, not euphoric, not dramatic, not even emotional, just right. Like returning to a place you forgot you built. That's why you might feel flashes of déjà vu or sudden nostalgia for something you can't quite place. Because this version of you isn't new, it's just finally online. This portal didn't install someone else's blueprint in you. It removed the static so yours could come through. You're not leveling up. You're arriving. You didn't need more mindfulness. You just needed silence to feel safe again. There's something incredibly powerful about realizing that you didn't quiet your mind by doing more. It just got quiet on its own. This portal does that. It doesn't numb you or distract you or flood you with spiritual noise. It clears the energetic feedback loop that's been making your brain run marathons in circles. And all of a sudden, the thoughts that used to cling to your attention like static, they just don't. You'll notice it in real time. That thing you'd usually obsess over, a message you sent, The tone you used, whether you were too much or not enough, will pop up and dissolve before it can spiral. Not because you fought it, but because your nervous system doesn't need it anymore. The portal isn't silencing your thoughts, it's making them irrelevant. And what happens when the noise turns down? You get access to real clarity. You're not trying to control every outcome. You're not simulating worst-case scenarios. You're not running through what-ifs before you make a simple move. You just act, trust, flow, and adjust. It's not that you stop thinking. It's that your thinking stops trying to protect you from a life you're no longer afraid to live. Even your body will respond. You'll feel less tight in the chest, less tension in your jaw. Your digestion might improve. Your breath goes deeper. Because your mind isn't hijacking your entire system, trying to calculate the future. You're finally present enough for the future to start flowing toward you, without you needing to chase it down. You're not overthinking because you're anxious. You're overthinking because your energy never felt safe to settle, until now. And now that it can settle, something is waking up. You're not dissociating, you're detaching on purpose. There's a quiet spreading across your field. Not because the world outside has calmed down, if anything, it's louder than ever. People are glitching out, conflicts are flaring. You'll see people panic over things you used to spiral over, and you'll just blink. Not cold, not numb, just unbothered. This isn't shutdown. This is stabilization. For the first time in possibly years, your nervous system isn't bracing for impact. You're not living in the future's shadow, preparing for something to go wrong. And because of that, you're starting to feel a neutrality that confuses your old self. You don't feel the need to fix everything. You don't feel addicted to intensity. You're not trying to prove how spiritual, sensitive, or aware you are. You're just present. And it's weirdly quiet here. The 789 portal acts like a giant energetic tuning fork. It's not soothing you through emotion, it's calibrating your whole frequency. And when your system hits that alignment, it stops creating tension where it doesn't belong. No more rehearsing pain. No more pre-living disappointment. No more constant internal chatter about how to dodge a storm that doesn't even exist. You're not losing your fire, you're just not letting every spark become a wildfire anymore. This calm might confuse people around you. You might get accused of not caring or shutting down, but don't fall for it. You're just not available for chaos the way you used to be. You're not addicted to the highs and lows. You're not being pulled into emotional whirlpools. And your detachment isn't a wall. It's a boundary made of peace. Even your body knows. You might find yourself breathing deeper, sleeping differently, speaking slower. You may crave quieter spaces, or suddenly feel tired around certain people, not because they've changed, but because you have. Their noise no longer sticks. This portal is pulling your system into coherence, and once you stabilize here, you won't go back. The external world might still shake, but your internal compass? Locked in. And just as you settle into that calm, bam, something you've been spiritually avoiding steps onto the stage, front and center. No warning, no hiding, no more delay. What you've refused to face is about to find its voice. You know the thing. The one you've buried under healing routines, avoidance rituals, or convincing affirmations. The conversation you never had. The pattern you keep calling just part of the journey. The fear you tried to outgrow by pretending it didn't still whisper when the lights go out. Yeah, that thing. This portal doesn't play subtle. It pulls the rug on whatever you've tried to spiritually bypass. And it doesn't wait for permission. The universe doesn't care if you're ready. It cares that you're aligned. And alignment demands honesty, the kind you can't journal your way around anymore. The very situation you thought you could keep at arm's length, expect it to resurface, fast, not out of punishment, but because your energy is now stable enough to handle it. What once would have broken you now breaks open instead. You either deal with it now, or it will start rearranging your life without your consent. That's how energy works. If you don't guide it consciously, it still moves, just through chaos instead of clarity. So if your relationships start collapsing, or your job suddenly feels unbearable, or your body reacts in strange, intense ways, don't panic. It's not an attack. It's an intervention. The portal is rerouting your life force, and it can no longer fuel the parts of your existence that were built on delay, denial, or fear. You'll feel it as urgency, an inner push, a deadline you didn't see coming. And you'll know, I can't ignore this anymore. Not because it's suddenly worse, but because you're finally strong enough to face it without crumbling. This is your moment to respond with sovereignty. Not story, not excuses, not spiritual vocabulary, just truth. And once you choose that truth, reality shifts to meet it. Fast, faster than you're prepared for. And what it reveals next might change your entire definition of connection. When energy unlocks, time bends. Something clicks. And it's not loud or flashy, it's internal. That task you've been putting off for weeks, maybe even months, the conversation, the idea, the launch, the clearing, the step forward that always felt just barely out of reach, suddenly your resistance collapses. Not because you've psyched yourself up or forced momentum, but because the portal takes away the weight of indecision. This is what aligned action actually looks like. It doesn't feel like hype. It feels like relief. And it's not that your circumstances change overnight. It's you who stops delaying your own access. The fog that's been making everything feel distant and heavy, gone. You wake up one morning, and the same task that overwhelmed you last week feels obvious, simple, almost effortless. And it's not because it suddenly became easier. It's because you stopped leaking energy into overthinking, second-guessing, and subconscious sabotage. The work wasn't too hard. You were just blocked from your own willpower. This portal isn't just opening a door, it's removing the hand that's been subtly holding you back every time you reached for the handle. And when that restraint disappears, what once felt like uphill becomes momentum. You'll feel like you're getting more done in 3 days than you did in the last 3 months, but not in a grindy, burnout-driven way, more like a flow state you forgot was even possible. You'll find yourself completing things with minimal effort because the energy required to start has finally arrived. And here's the best part, you won't question it. You'll just move. Cleanly, clearly, fast. There's no checklist, no guilt about what you didn't do earlier, no pressure to explain why you suddenly can, you just do it. Because the window opened, and this time, you walked through it. And once you've experienced that level of forward motion, something strange happens. You start carrying yourself differently, like someone who no longer asks for permission. When energy unlocks, time bends. Something clicks, and it's not loud or flashy, it's internal. That task you've been putting off for weeks, maybe even months, the conversation, the idea, the launch, the clearing, the step forward that always felt just barely out of reach, suddenly your resistance collapses. Not because you've psyched yourself up or forced momentum, but because the portal takes away the weight of indecision. This is what aligned action actually looks like. It doesn't feel like hype. It feels like relief. And it's not that your circumstances change overnight. It's you who stops delaying your own access. The fog that's been making everything feel distant and heavy, gone. The work wasn't too hard. You were just blocked from your own willpower. This portal isn't just opening a door, it's removing the hand that's been subtly holding you back every time you reached for the handle. And when that restraint disappears, what once felt like uphill becomes momentum. You'll feel like you're getting more done in 3 days than you did in the last 3 months, but not in a grindy, burnout-driven way. More like a flow state you forgot was even possible. You'll find yourself completing things with minimal effort, because the energy required to start has finally arrived. And here's the best part, you won't question it. And once you've experienced that level of forward motion, something strange happens. You start carrying yourself differently, like someone who no longer asks for permission. Identity isn't built, it's remembered. And now you're being asked to wear it. At some point during this portal, there's going to be a moment where the universe stops entertaining your delay. It's not going to be dramatic. You'll feel it immediately. That flicker of choice, that internal pause where your nervous system wants to shrink, overthink, ask for another sign, or wait for permission. But this time, it won't feel satisfying to hesitate. It'll feel like self-abandonment. And that's how you'll know the portal is working. This isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about stepping into a frequency you've already claimed, and the energy won't let you fake it. You either match it, or you don't. You've said you're ready to stop playing small. You visualize the future version of yourself. You've meditated on becoming. When you stop performing for potential and start responding from embodiment, you stop attracting tests and start generating momentum. You'll notice people treating you differently, not because you asked them to, but because your energy stopped signaling insecurity. You'll find doors opening without needing to push, because your field has stopped broadcasting hesitation. But here's the final layer. This moment might not come with a spotlight. It might show up in how you respond to criticism, how you speak about your goals, how you stop justifying your desires. It may be quiet, but it will be unmistakable. And when it comes, there won't be time to prepare. You'll have to decide in the moment to rise, not as an act, but as a remembering. So when that moment comes, and it will come, don't stall. Don't dilute yourself with humility that isn't real. Don't shrink into that version of you who keeps waiting for a sign that you're allowed to begin. This is the sign. And this time, you're the one giving it. If you're still watching, I'd like to thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed the content and want to see more, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Your support is very appreciated. Feel free to share your experiences or thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care and subscribe for more insightful content.